Red Hot winning picks at experts.winnersandwhiners.com. Save 75% on any best bet package with the promo code ACTION75. That's ACTION75 at experts.winnersandwhiners.com.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And just like that, we're off. We're running another brand new live edition of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. With Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. We're live until 9 a.m. this morning, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the program. You can get in on the show, on the conversation this morning. Should be a fantastic morning for conversation. Last night, a little basketball, a little college basketball. UAH taking on Auburn last night inside Neville Arena. Chaney Johnson, 14 on the night for the Chargers. 4 players in double figures in this one. But Auburn just too much, 87-69. And UAH, though, did make Auburn sweat just a little bit. And it was the first ever meeting between the two teams. It was a good night. Auburn moves to 8-1 in exhibition games under Bruce Pearl. Jalen Williams made the most. He had a little foul trouble, but he had 16 points. Perfect shooting night, 6 for 6 from the field, 3 for 3 from the free throw line. And it was a good night for basketball, good night for the UAH Chargers. The only thing coming out of the game last night is UAH does hope C.J. Williamson's ankle is okay. Banged it up there late in the second half last night. And the Chargers have a game on Saturday, which you can hear right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone as they travel to Florida. But overall, great night for basketball. Great crowd on hand last night inside Neville Arena. Way more people than what I thought would get there. The students filled it up at 5:30 last night. Tip-off was not till 7. The students filled it up till about 5:30 when they opened the doors. It was a great crowd. Great night inside Neville Arena last night.
Yeah, Auburn's a top 15 team, so they got great crowd support. Certainly going better than the football situation. So they're going to be much more excited about basketball in Neville Arena and with the shape the program's in under Bruce Pearl right now. No doubt about that. They have become a program where they expect to reload and not rebuild, even though they've lost some outstanding players in the first time ever where they had 2 first-round draft choices. Jabari Smith, of course, going 3rd overall. And we know that Walker Kessler, in his only year as an Auburn Tiger, ends up a first-round draft choice. So, but they've retooled. They've got Johan Traore. They've got Jonai Broom from one from the transfer portal, one from Western Union.
Broom looked a little. He looked a little slow last night.
I heard
you could tell the exhibition was, and UAH had a lot of guys too that did that. But the exhibition last night, you can see why they play these games because they are going to be good as the season progresses. But they looked a little out of sorts, out of sync early on last night.
Well, and Jonai is a guy that's moving up from Morehead State to Auburn. They did go to Israel for that tour, but you're playing against other college players. Certainly, I think Jonai will be a good player. He may not be a guy that's going to go directly to the NBA after a year, though, because, again, I saw Noah Gurley go through the same thing at Alabama last year. He was an all-conference level player at Furman. I had seen him play really well against Alabama, but when he played at Alabama last year, it wasn't a consistent situation.
Right.
And he had 12 the other day against Southern Illinois. He looked much more comfortable. I asked him about that when I went to SEC Media Days, about being more comfortable within the program and being used to playing against the level of competition that is that of the SEC. The same thing will probably happen with Broome. He'll certainly be a great shot blocker. He'll get better as the season goes on. But the guy you mentioned was also at SEC Basketball Media Day, and that was Jalen Williams. He's a senior, and he certainly played like it last night. You just talked about his scoring line, which was basically perfect.
It was, 6 for 6, 3 for 3.
One of the things that stuck out to me in the first half was he got a couple of fouls early, and yet still put himself in position to take a charge from UAH, which shows his experience and a guy that I think they're building around. He didn't start last year, but he played a lot. But I wouldn't be surprised if he starts this season because he's a glue guy. I mean, he's a program player that's been in Bruce Pearl's program his entire career, and he's just somebody that's very, very smart. You could tell he had a lot of leadership qualities when he was speaking to the media. And so certainly, him and we've got a chance to speak to him and Wendell Green Jr. Wendell Green, his role looks to be changing with Auburn because last year he was more of a Vinnie Johnson microwave scorer off the bench. And I asked him about that, and he said this year he expects to be the point guard of this team and to run the team. And I know he was shooting it well last night in the first half.
Small guy. I did not realize how small.
He's more, he's not your prototypical long, lengthy 6'3" point guard. He's more of a fire plug, more like a 5'8", 5'9" speed guy, but he can also shoot it. And I will say this: he does play like he's got a chip on his shoulder. He doesn't play with any fear at all. He's from Detroit, Michigan, and so he's a guy that's certainly not scared of competition.
I will say this: there's a big difference between Gulf South Conference physicality and SEC physicality, and UAH found that out last night. That it's those boys are a little bit.
And I know. And C.J. Williams, man, he was battling his tail off, but I mean, he was at a big size disadvantage. I mean, when you're talking about Jonah Broome and you're talking about Johan Traore, and don't forget Dylan Cardwell. I mean, he's played a ton, and he's a big dude. I know he had a few
big
dunks.
guys down there last night. That UAH was battling. I mean, they got out rebounded. But anyway, though, it's all about exhibition style. It's all about getting better. Season starts on Saturday for real for UAH. It starts on Monday for Auburn. And you mentioned the football team. And you mentioned we're a lot better off than the football team. Well, they traveled to Mississippi State on Saturday. Carnell Williams will make his debut as interim coach. What does he want to see from his guys on Saturday?
Honestly, what I told those guys, that's gonna make me happy these next 4 weeks, and it's no promises. I mean, I don't know if we gonna win a ball game or not, but one thing that's gonna make me happy, these guys, man, is we play good football and hard Auburn football, and I honestly, that is what I want to get these kids to do, man. Play hard, compete, and at the end of the day, I told these kids, win, lose, or draw. If we do that, not only will we make ourselves proud, but I know the Auburn family will be proud of us too.
So there you go. That's the message that Carnell told his team. That was his first public comments yesterday.
Yep.
And he said, go play big, tough Auburn football. That's what he wants to see. And, I mean, he's being realistic. They may or may not win another game down the stretch. And he's being honest.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how they respond to him, no doubt about it. They're definitely underdogs going to Starkville, but I don't think it's beyond the realm of comprehension that they could win the game. They'll probably be a favorite against Western Kentucky, down the stretch, but they certainly are going to face, some tall hills to climb. They've got Alabama still left as well. So I mean, right now they got 4 games left. You heard Carnell saying they got a month to finish out the season, and again, the SEC's a meat grinder. Certainly, they've got a shot against Texas A&M. We'll see which team's more motivated in that matchup because that's going to be at Auburn. So Auburn gets them at home. They get Western Kentucky at home. Then they've got the 2 road tests at Starkville and Tuscaloosa. But again, what they're going to be trying to do is they're going to be trying to get 3 wins and out of 4 games to try to get bowl eligible. And Brian Matthews even pointed out that because of APR and things of that nature, you can go to a bowl at 5-7 sometimes. We've seen it happen on rare occasions. But
if you're Auburn, would you accept a bid to a bowl game at 5-7 with an interim
very seriously
coach?
Doubt it. I think I think they would just try to get the new head coach in there. Hit the transfer portal really hard, get a staff in place, certainly try to finish off the early signing period in recruiting as well. I don't know that they would, accept – because, again, you would say, because of the practice time, but look, the new coach may change everything and probably will on both sides of the ball. So,
right.
I mean, I don't really know how much you'll get out of it. The most important thing you're going to be trying to get out of early signing in the transfer portal is to transform your roster and to get everybody aligned in the same place with the new coaching staff. I would just think that would be the priority and the more important thing. Last year, Dirtneck decided not to play against Wake Forest because, one, he knew he'd get his ass beat, and second, he was too busy trying to buy his whole recruiting class because they had high expectations and thought they'd be in the playoff. The only thing they're going to be doing is watching it because he can't coach his way out of a sandbox. But again, that's just the way it is. So sometimes that doesn't work. I do think in hindsight, that Jimbo should have probably taken the bowl game. But, of course, the problem is he had a lot of guys opt out. And that's what you have to happen now, too. Like in Auburn's case, say Owen Papo or a Cam Wooden, what if those guys, what if these Wooden and Papo and Derek Hall, for example, they might not play in the bowl game.
What about Tank Bigsby too?
Or Tank may go into the transfer portal. He may declare for the NFL draft. A lot of these guys might just decide to prepare for the draft and not play. So again, how much are you getting out of it? Because you might not have enough guys. That's what Texas ATM ran into last year because they weren't playing for anything. And then I still think some of the younger guys, it would have helped them for Jimbo, but he was too busy. They were trying to lay the groundwork, not wanting to lose momentum so they could, get 2 or 3 more people to believe lies and take money and lose. Can't develop a roster. Can't manage a roster. Can't coach a lick. Good luck. Pay him his $88 million. You morons.
What did Jimbo do today?
Yeah.
By the way, did you see this? Speaking of Jimbo Fisher, I mean, just we have it all on the ready.
Gift that keeps on giving, man.
I have things ready for different occasions, and this one, did you see the other day that his record in the SEC West is worse than Kevin Sumlin?
Yeah.
Jimbo Fisher is 13-14 during his tenure at Texas A&M. Kevin Sumlin was 14-12.
Look, man, there are national members of the media that picked him to make the playoff. There is one very well-known one that's on game day every day. Desmond Howard, who picked him to win the national championship.
Yes.
And he's still employed, telling Michigan State and Michigan how to handle discipline. He picked Texas A&M and Pitt to get into the playoff.
Yeah, I
mean, how stupid are you?
That had to have been like a I don't know.
Not the only one. I think he put Michigan in there. That might happen. I mean, I don't know. I didn't know what he was smoking. I mean, come on, man. I'm looking at that. I'm like, are you serious? These are your playoff teams? Give me a break. Huh.
Oh,
man.
Sometimes people just don't.
He was reaching, man, I guess.
Well, 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the conversation this morning. Obviously, the playoff rankings are going to change after this next week because Tennessee and Georgia play each other. That is obvious. That is going to take care that is going to take care of either 1 or 3. Something is going to change there. In the next couple weeks, Ohio State will play Michigan, so 2 and 5 will definitely change there. So there's a lot of a road to hope. The one thing we do know is that pretty much everybody south of the border, when I mean that, I mean possibly 10 through 25, you're in the rankings, but you're legitimately getting into the college football playoffs. Your margin, you don't have anything. I mean, you're just in the rankings. Shane from Decatur's with us this morning. Good morning, Shane.
Hey, good morning, guys. Just real quick, I was laughing about what Drew was saying about Desmond. Had you thought about this? Maybe he got an NIL deal from Texas A&M just to say that.
Or his alma mater, Michigan, because I think he had the Aggies beating Michigan in the finals. And I did look up the fourth team he picked. It was another ridiculous one, Baylor. So it was, it's like he just woke up that morning and decided, let's see if I can have a cow turd take and just say something outlandish and make headlines.
But a lot of people were high on Baylor, though.
I mean, Baylor's good. I'm not
loved Baylor.
I like Dave Aranda, and I think Baylor's a good program. But picking them for the playoff, that's another thing. But again, I wouldn't have done that. But he picked Baylor. But I mean, Baylor and Michigan make a lot more sense than Texas A&M. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't see that one. And Pitt, are you kidding me? Pitt, what? Johnny Majors is not coaching there anymore. Tony Dorsett, who ended up being Dorsett, he's not there. Hugh Green's not there. They're not very good. They weren't even very good when Aaron Donald was there. It was like when Pat Mahomes was at Texas Tech. Who? You didn't know who they were until they went to the NFL.
I think people were excited because of what Kenny Pickett did last year, and
he
they
won the
added
ACC,
Keaton Slovis. Yeah. I think they thought.
And then Addison, though, went to the USC for an NIL deal.
Yes.
I guess Will Ferrell's paying him. I don't know.
Snoop Dogg.
Well,
Somebody.
guys, I think our playoff this year is going to turn. I mean, unfortunately, I think Clemson's going to make it, and they're going to be the team that gets blown out in the semis this year. And I'm predicting it's going to be. I can't predict between Georgia and Tennessee, but it's going to be one of those two, Alabama and Ohio State.
If Clemson and TCU run the table, okay, and Michigan, let's say Michigan or Ohio State is going in, Tennessee or Georgia for sure. Right now, let's just say based on these rankings, one of those will, Alabama possibly, or Tennessee or Georgia definitely getting in. If a TCU and Clemson are undefeated, would you take a TCU or would you take a Clemson?
TCU, they've got better wins.
TCU all day long, but I think the same thing is going to happen this year like it does every year. The Big 12 is going to implode, and they're not going to have anyone in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure TCU is going to be able to survive the whole deal undefeated, but if they did, they've beaten a lot better teams than Clemson. I mean, let's just who knows? Maybe Notre Dame will put Clemson out of their misery this weekend.
TCU
that'd be my Gamecocks.
Yeah, TCU.
I don't know, bro.
Oh boy, what happened against Missouri?
I was talking up the Gamecocks all last week, and then I watched that Saturday, and it was like an F. I mean, I like Shane Beamer, but
that just tells you how bad Texas A&M is. Tells you how bad.
That's the first thing I thought. I thought, how much are you paying these people, and you're not coaching them a lick? You can't motivate a rock. I mean, are you kidding me? Good Lord, you all came off a bye and you were down 17-0 because you couldn't cover a kickoff. You couldn't snap the ball to the quarterback. I mean, mercy, what are y'all working on? I think we pretty much figured it out with the blazing it up in the locker room, but good Lord.
Yeah, I think we're in the mode of replacing our offensive coordinators, which has been a big complaint from us South Carolina fans for a few years. So hopefully that's going to take place, and we'll get a better offense in there.
It's a complaint by the starting quarterback.
Yeah, the starting quarterback.
He's made that publicly known.
That was pretty brutal. I mean,
right.
Yeah, he's been a disappointment.
I would put Luke Doty in, let him finish the season, because I think he creates a spark every time he does come in anyway. So I'd just ride the season out with him and see what happens.
Well, and then the running back injury to Lloyd, that didn't help.
Yeah. All right, Shane. All right, let's stay on the phone lines again. Who we got? Let's go, Joel from Decatur. Good morning,
What's
sir.
up, Joel?
Hey, what up, Scott? What up, Drew?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Man, I'm one of them rejects from the Paul Firebum show. I haven't had enough of that shit. I've been listening to you guys for a while. Drew, I absolutely love you, Drew. I wish
Appreciate
you could
it.
go nationwide.
Yeah, that's some good stuff there.
What's up? What's up, Joel? How you doing? So what's
on your mind, bud?
When you see Bryce Young running around back there 10, 15 seconds,
Yes,
and
sir.
everybody's all excited about it because he's scrambling, but to me, that's just a bad look. That don't look like football's supposed to be. That means that the wide receiver ain't getting open or something. He shouldn't have to be back there running like that for 15 seconds.
Well, I mean, I would agree with you. It's not been pretty at times offensively for Alabama. I do think when you look at the yardage numbers and the yards per carry, it's been good at times. It just hasn't been consistent. I don't think it was a great performance against Mississippi State by any stretch, especially the second half. But I think a lot of that had to do with them being banged up and them needing the bye week. And don't forget that Bryce wasn't 100% as well. I don't know that he had the same zip on the ball that he usually does. And then they couldn't run the ball. I mean, and I'll credit Mississippi State for that. I think Zach Arnett's pretty good. I think their defense is pretty good. I think they did a good job of clogging up the running lanes because Alabama, except for the fourth quarter against Tennessee, has really run the ball pretty well against everybody. They've led the nation in yards per carry, but except for the one 19-yard touchdown run, they did a good job of bottling up Jahmyr Gibbs. And Jahmyr was a little banged up too. So I think the football team was tired, and when you're on one of those runs that happens, really we saw it happen to Ole Miss when the week before their bye, they bottomed out against LSU. A lot of times you just got to fight through it. And get healthy. And I'm going to be interested to see how much spark and juice they've got against LSU where they're able to get a bye, get everybody rested up, get healthier. Because I think the Tennessee game took a lot out of them too. Because one, as you know, Bryce missed a game and 3 quarters before that game, and then Alabama had to expend a lot of energy coming back in it. Because they dug such a deep hole. But I thought they had 570 yards. They just didn't run the ball well enough in the fourth quarter. But again, and Bryce threw for 455. And I think the receivers played well in that game, even though they did have a few drops even in the Tennessee game. But again, the one thing I'll say, Joel, is I do think the one thing that encourages me is this Alabama team. I felt like last year they pretty much, especially due to the injuries, they maximized what they had. I don't know that they've done that this year. I think there's more growth and upside to this squad, but we just have to see what it looks like coming out of the bye because I still think their best football is ahead of them, and if it is, they're going to take care of LSU and Ole Miss and put themselves in position to get to Atlanta and have a shot to win the SEC.
And speaking of those injuries, Nick Saban did say yesterday that Bryce Young has been hampered in practice. He's been slowed in practice.
Well, of course. I mean, he hasn't been throwing.
No, I'm just letting everyone know
that
that he's still, he's still trying
to get back.
Yep.
Yeah, and in time past, usually after this bye, before they play LSU,
right?
That's usually when the team kind of comes together. And I don't think Alabama is down. Yeah, they down according to the Alabama standard, but really, if you look at the rest of these teams, they ain't no worse than the rest of these teams. Alabama could easily go into the playoffs and win the national championship.
Well, I agree with that. I don't think they're getting enough credit for battling the way they have, Joel. I mean, they were getting smoked by Tennessee, and they were. Let's just be honest. Certainly the officiating wasn't great, but the officiating didn't have all to do with the 28-10 deficit. A lot of it was they weren't covering Jalen Hyatt, and then Hendon Hooker was on fire, and Alabama came out slow. But they fought back. They retook the lead. They had a 49-42 lead. Looked like they got the interception that would have sealed it, or even before that, a fumble recovery. But both times the calls didn't go their way, but they just kept battling. I thought they did a great job playing through it, because sometimes you can become emotional. It can affect your play because of your things not going your way. But I thought they showed a lot of mental toughness. And, if Jahmyr Gibbs catches the ball, or if Will Reichert makes a 50-yarder, which he's already done a few times this year, then Alabama probably still escapes. But they weren't able to escape. And again, I thought they showed a lot of mental fortitude coming back against Mississippi State and winning impressively. Though I will say, I'm still sort of mystified at the game Mike Leach coached. I mean, he came in there and started going for it on fourth down, inside his own 20. Didn't really understand that, but he certainly put Alabama in an advantageous situation, and I thought Alabama defensively played better. They got Eli Ricks in the lineup, and that's another thing we haven't talked about a lot this week. We're going to talk about it with Sonny Shipp in a minute for LSU, but Alabama getting Eli Ricks in there. Could they end up playing more three-corner looks? Could it kind of transform the secondary? We'll see down the stretch what adjustments with the lineup that Nick Saban and his coaching staff make.
Yeah, I've been looking for Eli. Oh, yeah, I think Eli having troubles with the mental part of the game.
Yeah, I think he did early. You're right.
You don't know the whole game. You're not going to be getting in there.
Right.
But it was. I appreciate you taking my call.
Yep.
I ain't calling the Paul Feinberg show no more. I can't handle too much more of that.
All right, Joel. Thanks for the phone call, bud. We got to get a break in. We're way behind. Let's get this break in. That's good. That's good. That was a guy. That's the first time he's called this show. That's good.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Sounds like that wreck at Dupree-Worthy in 72 is going to turn out to be a no injury. They're trying to get it out of the way. Greenbrier Parkway and Relate Way had an injury involved. Got one westbound University near Old Monrovia. That one's going to turn out to be a no injury. And we got one in Limestone County, Highway 99 and Lester Road that may still be waiting on a wrecker. The $6 Big Box is back at Popeyes with 2 pieces of that crispy hand-breaded Louisiana seasoned chicken, 2 sides, and a buttermilk biscuit. Popeyes, University and George, 72 and Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Saturday, November 12th in Jasper, Alabama, just minutes from Lewis Smith Lake, prime riverfront property will be offered at a one-day liquidation sales event. Getting killed in the stock market? Buy something real, something you can enjoy with your family today. Buy waterfront. This RV-friendly gated community has great kayaking, fishing, and wildlife, along with a large community area for social gatherings. Estate-sized parcels from $29.9 and direct waterfront parcels from $79.9. Prime waterfront properties on rushing water in a gated, gorgeous setting. Individual RV sites with utility hookups, no time limit to build, minutes from shopping, hospitals, schools, and neighboring a beautiful country club. One-day liquidation sale November 12th. Estate-sized parcels from $29.9 or direct waterfront parcels from $79.9. Call or click 877bigview.com for more information and to schedule an appointment. Don't miss this amazing opportunity on estate-size or waterfront parcels. That's 877-BIG-VIEW. Call or click 877bigview.com.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Did you know the state's top-ranked private school is here in Huntsville? What about one of the nation's few Orton-Gillingham Academy accredited schools? At Randolph School, our experienced teachers and coaches challenge and nurture students as they prepare for college and life. Our pre-K through 12 school includes Greengate School at Randolph, serving students with dyslexia. Parents, we know that you are your child's biggest advocate, and we invite you to explore your education options. Schedule a tour at randolphschool.net.
Here's Bobby White from Woody Anderson Ford on their service department.
President's Award winner 2 years in a row. That's only given to the top 10% of Ford dealers in customer satisfaction. So we're very proud of the service department. And our body shop. If you happen to get into an accident, which not a lot of people just want to go down and see a body shop, but if you get into an accident, award-winning body shop. We have state-of-the-art paint booths back there. They're waterborne paints that we use, friendly for the environment. We've got our production system, the way things are in and out. We have the fastest cycle rate in town of getting your vehicle in, getting your vehicle out, and assured that it's fixed right. We take pictures before it's wrecked, and not only after, but we take it as we're putting the parts on. All done to above industry standards. So I'm proud of our body shop too. Don't forget our parts department. So if you don't have to need parts, performance parts, or just parts if you're a weekend mechanic.
Woody Anderson Ford, located at the corner of Jordan and Sparkman, as well as Hughes Road and Madison. You can also check out the great deals at WoodyAndersonFord.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-306-8158 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-306-8158. That's 800-306-8158. What do you have to lose? Call 800-306-8158. Again, 800-306-8158.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead, ran away, and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
Hey there, folks. Head fry cook Bob Baumhauer here, and I just want to say thank you for allowing Baumhauer's Victory Grill to serve you for 40 legendary years. When I first delivered Alabama's first taste of buffalo wings back in 1981, people thought I was crazy. For the first few years, I had to give wings away. Imagine that. 40 years later, I'm still proud to serve the great people and visitors of Alabama, our famous buffalo wings, and much more. Here's to 40 years of legendary fun, legendary food, and many, many more.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Join us this afternoon from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Saturday right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. You will get 6th-ranked Alabama, 10th-ranked LSU. A 6 o'clock kick down there in Baton Rouge. Prime night game. A lot at stake in this one, as usual when it's Alabama LSU.
Well, for the first time in 3 years, because it meant everything in 2019, and LSU used that as a springboard to have one of the great seasons in college football history and go 15-0 and win the national championship, the third since 2003. But in 20, the COVID year was different. Alabama had their way in Baton Rouge last year. The LSU team was out of it, but they played one of their best games. They were throwing for the lead into the end zone in the last 3 minutes. Alabama held on to win 20-14. But this year, it's back to meaning basically the Western Division at stake.
Right.
With what Brian Kelly's squad has done since that rough start against Florida State. They had a rough morning, whatever you want to call it, brunch against Tennessee. But besides that, since that time, they played their best football, including eviscerating Ole Miss in Tiger Stadium just a couple of weeks ago, and now they're coming off of a bye, and this is like old times, Alabama LSU with a ton at stake. And our next guest does a great job covering LSU football and recruiting for Go 24/7, and it's our good friend Sonny Shipp who's made some time for us this morning. Sonny, good morning. How are you?
Good, fellas. What's happening?
What's going on, man? And like you guys have been writing over there at Go 24/7, this, for the first time in the Brian Kelly era and the first time for Keyshawn Butte, a lot of these cats that are big-time guys for LSU, this is what this game has meant for the last 10, 12, whatever you want to say, even all 15 years really with Nick Saban being here most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, LSU fans, Alabama fans, they've gotten used to this being a big game, having SEC West implications. And like you mentioned, the last 2 years have been different, but this has the series kind of back on track. And, LSU will be looking for its first win over Bama in Tiger Stadium since that 2006 season.
Yeah.
And so, a lot. Yeah, and, us old-timers, we can go back to all of the struggles that LSU had with Alabama back during the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and all of that, where a victory in Tiger Stadium was so hard to come by. And then, Brian Kelly's first go-around with Nick Saban in the purple and gold, he's 0-2 against Saban from his time at Notre Dame. So it'll be, there's no shortage of storylines between these two teams heading into Saturday.
Yeah, and no doubt, a Brian Kelly win, that is his signature win at LSU in his first year.
Oh, no question about it. I mean, I think you look at, you can go down and you can look at the wins you can look at the wins right now. You got Mississippi State at home. That was a good win. Winning on the road at Auburn, on the road at Florida. First time LSU's beaten those two teams in their home stadiums in the same year. And then you tack on Ole Miss, and then, what this would mean. And look, I just go back to that first game, that first game of the season after you're sitting there trying to figure out, okay, how did they miss another extra point? And now they're 0-1 to all of a sudden, who would have thought we'd be looking at a top 10 matchup?
Well, think about this. I mean, if they do make the extra point or their kicking game is more solid. I think they muffed 2 punts in that game. If they beat Florida State like we think they should have, and I certainly thought they would going into that opener, it'd be more than a top 10 matchup. This would be a situation where in LSU there is still it's a long shot, but there's still a situation where they could be a playoff contender this year, but they certainly would be right now, Sonny, if that game had gone differently.
Yeah, I think it would look differently in the win-loss column. But would LSU have won all of the games that they've won if they wouldn't have learned those lessons against Florida State?
Good point.
It's always we can play hindsight 20/20 and look at the what ifs and all, but you almost have to think that as much as Brian Kelly has talked about changing the culture, talked about creating good habits, talked about his process, you almost wonder if this team would be in the situation that it's in if it didn't go through that game, if it didn't go through that process, if it didn't go through of having to learn how to lose and having to regroup with all of the new guys in the locker room and with the dynamic of this team being so different than a lot of your college football teams just because it's so heavy on the transfer portal that you've seen in the past. And so, I think for LSU fans, I think they just have to look at this right now and look at this and say, you know what? We're number 10 in the country going into the first CFB Top 25 poll. You're going into a situation to where when you look at some of the past LSU Alabama games, I mean, you looked at it and you were like, man, everything's got to go LSU's way. You go back to 2014 when you had Anthony Jennings at quarterback, and that was a good game. You've got that went to overtime. So you've had a lot of games in this past where you said, okay, if X, Y, Z, and several other letters go LSU's way, they have a chance going into the fourth quarter. I think what you saw against Florida and Ole Miss, now you look at this and you say LSU's offense can score some points.
Yeah.
If LSU's defense can come out to a faster start, you could see a way that LSU could make this more than a game going into the fourth quarter. If that offense is clicking, if the passing game is clicking, if they're able to establish a little bit of running game, a lot of what ifs. But that comes when you play a team like Alabama, like Tennessee, like Ohio State, some of these teams that are the best in the country. But I do think that you look at this game from the LSU perspective and you say there's a reasonable way that they could come out on top in this one.
Jaden Daniels, a big part of that. Early on in the season, It took him a little bit. You could see it. It took him a little bit to trust the Brian Kelly offense, to trust the system, to play within the system, to get confidence. Each and every game that he plays, he gets more confident in the system. Brian Kelly gets more confident in him. A big reason for that upswing.
Yeah, if Jaden Daniels is second-guessing himself like he did early in the season, if he's looking for those windows that are just completely wide open, it's going to be a long day for LSU. There's no doubt about it. Jaden Daniels has to play like the Jaden Daniels that you've seen the last couple of weeks. If he's holding on to the ball too long, if he's taking off and picking up 4 yards or 3 yards instead of having a chance for 12 or 13 or 14 from throwing the ball down the field, that's not the recipe that LSU needs. And another recipe that LSU has to stay away from is it being all Jaden Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jaden Daniels, LSU's going to have to get some semblance of a run game that does not involve Jaden Daniels. The zone read can be really effective, but someone else is going to have to be able to pick up those tough yards, those 2 yards on 3rd down and 2. 3rd down and 3, in those situations. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, I think, you have to go back to where it all begins, and that's in the trenches. Can LSU's offensive line match Alabama's physicality on the defensive line? And can Alabama, if they're going to have some guys they've got some guys that are banged up, so are the other guys going to be able to step up and perform at the same level as as the guys who are injured right now? In the past, Alabama's been able to do that. Are they able to do that again on Saturday? I think will be a big key too.
Well, and how much has that since the Tennessee game? How much has the offensive and defensive lines improved in your mind, Sonny?
Well, I think when you look at the offensive line, Will Campbell out against Tennessee,
that was
offensive
huge.
line was just atrocious. I mean, that was atrocious. You've had Will Campbell back since that game, and I don't want to say that he's has a calming effect on that line, but I think with him in there, everybody's looking at it and everybody's saying, okay, the left tackle's good.
Yeah, the pieces fit better, yeah.
The pieces fit better. And you get Garrett Dellinger back this week, so you're going to get a little bit of depth on the offensive line. Don't anticipate any changes. I think they'll still go with Emory Jones and Will Campbell as your tackles, Miles Frazier and Anthony Bradford as your guards, and Charles Turner at center. You'll be able to get some reps out of Garrett Dellinger. But I think they'll go with the same offensive line. And, it's played well. You flip over to the defensive line.
Yeah.
Early on against Ole Miss, it wasn't getting pressure. But really, once Matt House implemented Harold Perkins into the defense with B.J. Ojulari, I think you kind of started to see, how the LSU defensive line could really be a difference maker like we thought it could be going into the season, and for that to be able to say that when you lose a guy like Mason Smith a quarter into the season, I think that speaks, that speaks volumes. And you have to go to Mekhi Wingo, the Missouri transfer. He has been absolutely fantastic, filling in for Mason Smith. And him coming on of late, I think has solidified them also into being able to clog up some running lanes inside. And so I think that's been a help. And then when you're facing a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, you've got to be able to get a push. You've got to be able to, you've got to be able to get some hats around the football, especially when you're thinking about, that you could be dealing with a wet field on Saturday.
Right. Yeah. The weather doesn't look great. And I wonder, I think Bryce can still operate very effectively in the rain, but we'll see. And then we haven't had to see Jaden Daniels do that, I guess, and see, because you always wonder how you handle a wet football.
Yeah, and I was talking to our buddy over at Bama Online, Travis Ryer, yesterday.
Right.
And he said that, and I asked him if Alabama had played on a wet field this year, and he said, he said, now that you mentioned, I don't think they have either.
Right. That's
so
right.
I don't think either one of them has really been tested. Fortunately, it looks like the rain is going to be a more of a morning to early afternoon thing right now.
Mm-hmm.
With the you're talking 85 to 90% chance of rain at that time, but I think it drops off into the 20s around like 5 or 6 o'clock. So maybe you might have some residue on the field, some wet a little bit of wetness, but I don't think it's going to be a slosh pit or anything.
Yeah. How big has Malik Neighbors been for this LSU team?
Been big, and going into the season, there was a lot of talk and a lot of speculation about Kayshon Boutte being that guy and just picking up where he left off from the last 2 years. But Malik Neighbors was always that guy that, while Boutte was kind of working off the rust and getting himself back into shape, Malik Neighbors was always that guy who was just making plays. He was that guy that if you ask the players, if you talk to the players about the summer, if you talk to them about their extra work they're putting in, Malik Neighbors was that guy that the DBs would say, yeah, man, nobody can guard him. And I think you're starting to see him kind of come into his own a little bit more. And I think you're also starting to see the LSU offense saying, okay, we don't have to throw the ball to Kayshon 10 times a game. If we throw the ball to him 3 or 4, but the other guys are making plays, then we're getting the same amount accomplished. And then what you hope is that people will start paying more attention to Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. and guys like that, and open up some easier things for Kayshon.
Yeah, and in your mind, Sonny, what are the keys for LSU to get a win, which would put him in the driver's seat for the West?
I think it starts in the trenches on both sides. I just keep going back to some of these LSU-Alabama games from the past. You leave that game and you say, okay, LSU's really got to get stronger in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
That is what is separating these two teams right here. And I really think that that's going to be the big difference. Is LSU able to incorporate some 6 and some 7-man protection schemes for Jaden Daniels and still be able to put its playmakers in position to make plays without having as many receivers out there running routes. I think that's going to be a key. But the offensive line is going to have to do its job. It's going to have to give Daniels some time and give him a little bit of comfort. Get him in a comfort level early on to where he doesn't feel as rushed. He doesn't feel like he has to make plays with his feet. If that every play has to be made with him, whether it's his feet or with his arms. He's got to get help, and I think it starts with the offensive line creating some holes. Then you flip over to the other side of the ball. LSU's defensive line, guys like Harold Perkins, B.J. Ojolari, Makai Wingo, Jaqueline Roy, Micah Baskerville, all those guys are going to be playing in the front 6 and front 7. You've got to tackle when you get a chance. When you get a chance to make a play on Jahmyr Gibbs, you got to bring him down. Bryce Young, if you get a chance, you've got to make some plays in space, because if you let that guy just run around all day, he's going to kill you. He's going to find someone open, and I don't care if he's playing in a hurricane. Chances are that dude's going to find somebody.
Yeah, and Sonny, real quick, I know it's going to be a big recruiting weekend too for Brian Kelly.
Yeah, huge recruiting weekend. Bama picked up a big commitment yesterday from Julian Sayin, the 5-star quarterback for 2024. That was a big win for Bama on the recruiting trail, beat LSU out for the California product. But you got a ton of guys coming in this weekend. You've got two of the top player prospects left on their board. 4-star cornerback Desmond Ricks out of Florida. You got 4-star cornerback Javian Toviano coming in out of Texas. Just a lot of big names are going to be in. All your commitments are going to be in. And the good thing is that having a 6:00 kickoff, that's gonna work out a lot better for those traveling in than an 11:00 kick for Tennessee. So it's gonna, the kickoff time itself lends the staff a lot better chances of getting kids in on visits. And then when you add you add Alabama to the picture, and I mean, it's just I imagine the requests have been endless.
And then you think about Eli Ricks coming back too, and what role he'll play, because we didn't see him until the last game.
Yeah, you didn't see him until the last game. And one thing, Eli was I don't want to say hothead, but he was a guy. He was a guy that just he was never shy about talking or anything. And so you have to think that that's going to come in on Saturday, because he's a guy who always played with a lot of emotion. Always all jacked up and stuff. And so being able to keep those emotions in check, I think, will probably be, the biggest thing for him. But I don't think there's any question that, LSU fans want to see number 7 matched up against number 7.
Yeah, that'll be a heck of a matchup. Well, thanks for the time, man. Great insight. Let everybody know how to follow you guys' coverage.
Yeah, come check us out. Go 24/7, GAUX247.com. Come check us out. We always got the specials going. A lot of content good flowing through the week, and just looking forward to a big game, fellas.
No doubt. Thank you, sir.
Hey, y'all have a great week.
All right, let's get that break in. I'm going to wrap up hour one next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a no-injury wreck westbound on University at Old Monrovia. Had injuries at Greenbrier Parkway and Relate Way, Dupree Worthy, and Country Lane. That's near 72 in Limestone County. Turned out to be a no-injury. Still may be trying to clear Highway 99 and Lester Road in Limestone. They had a wrecker on the way at last report. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
Organizations using Salesforce know how powerful the platform is and how much time, money, and headaches it saves if it's set up right and you know how to use it. Let's face it, Salesforce is complicated and time-consuming to figure out, and a lot can go wrong now and down the road without expert help. That's why most Salesforce users work with an implementation partner like Higher Echelon, so they get the absolute most out of their Salesforce investment. Higher Echelon is a 5-star Salesforce consulting partner who won Salesforce Military Hiring Partner of the Year. President Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets. He puts that experience to good use at Higher Echelon, where they pride themselves on hiring veterans. Look, not all Salesforce partners are the same. Don't put your company at risk by going with an inferior partner. Higher Echelon is the trusted partner you can count on to get you up and running and seeing returns on your Salesforce investment in a fraction of the time it would take if you go it alone. Go to higherechelon.com. That's HIGHERECHELON.com to learn more. Go higher and go Army.
Football season is here, and as always, the best place to catch every game is downtown at Humphreys Bar and Grill. Humphreys is celebrating by bringing back their game day football specials. $2.75 Miller Lite, Coors Light, Yingling, and $3.50 Yellow Hammer Gold Pints. $4 Fireball shots. Anytime football is on. And don't forget football trivia every Sunday night at 6. The best place to catch all the games all season long is downtown at Humphreys Bar and Grill.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Attorney Tommy Sinyard on behalf of Sinyard Law, and again, proud to be a sponsor of All Things Football here on ESPN Radio. My son Bart and I started our own law firm July 1 and are very proud and excited to be bringing you our 50 years of collective national award-winning injury trial law experience. Check us out on the web, sinyardlaw.com.
Sinyard Law, nationally recognized, locally respected.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball. Short time, very short time before we wrap up hour number 1 here on Talking Ball. And coming up to kick off hour number 2, we're going to shift the conversation, talk high school basketball. The round ball will be bouncing in gyms all across North Alabama starting this evening as it's opening night for high school basketball. So, not only do you get the high school football playoffs going on this week, you're going to start high school basketball.
Going to be busy, man.
There's a lot of good stuff going on. So get on out there and watch a high school basketball game near you. Christian Schweers, Huntsville High head coach, will join us at the top of the hour as we continue to get ready for a high school basketball World Series real fast.
No-hitter.
Yeah.
Is that good?
First combined no-hitter in World Series history last night. Houston Astros 5-0 winners over the Phillies. That series now tied at 2. The scene shifts back to Houston for Game 5.
1956 Don Larson perfect game for the Yankees, as I'm sure the Czar knows, with Yogi Berra catching. But a combined no-hitter, I believe it was 4 pitchers used by the Houston Astros. And what a performance by them, and much needed. They had lost 7-0 the previous game. It's funny how baseball, you know what they always say, your momentum is the next day's starting pitcher. Well, Houston seized the momentum, and we'll see if the Philly can bounce back tonight. But it's 2 games up, and it's now best 2 out of 3, and so the Astros are right back in it because the Phillies would have had a stranglehold on it if they could have won that game last night.
And Mattress Mac's bet continues. I think he bet $15 million on this World Series. Yeah.
Must be nice. How many billions has he got?
We looked at this last night. Steve Moulton and I were talking about this on our way home.
And who did he bet on?
Night. He's a huge Astros fan. He is an Astros guy. He's got a ginormous suite within the ballpark.
Gotcha. I had not seen this, so I didn't know somebody was crazy enough to bet $15 million.
This is the same guy that a few years ago, if the Seahawks won
the Super
Bowl, and if you spent $6,000 at his furniture thing, he paid off your bill.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's got a lot of money.
Obviously he does.
Hour 2 coming up next.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
So yeah, I used the savings from switching to Progressive 50 years ago to finally buy my dream car. It's a self-driving flying car, but we just say self-flying now. You know, because it's the future, and cars fly in the future.
So switch to Progressive and save big, because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a no-injury wreck westbound on University at Old Monrovia. Had injuries at Greenbrier Parkway and Relate Way, Dupree Worthy, and Country Lane. That's near 72 in Limestone County. Turned out to be a no-injury. Still may be trying to clear Highway 99 and Lester Road in Limestone. They had a wrecker on the way at last report. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 70s. Many of us are going to be pushing 80 degrees. I think we'll fall just shy. Only dropping into the mid 50s as we head into the overnight. We're going to continue this fantastic weather as we head into your Friday afternoon. Plenty of sunshine. Once again, temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 70s, making a solid run at 80 degrees. It'll be another fantastic evening for some high school football. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
The Astros beating the Phillies in Game 4 of the World Series 5-0 in historic fashion, the first combined no-hitter in World Series history. Tonight, Game 5, Houston the -155 moneyline favorite, Philly +140, 7.5 the total. The first college football playoff rankings released Tuesday. Tennessee #1, followed by Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson, and Michigan. The Buckeyes the latest favorite to win the college football playoff at +190, Georgia +200, 6th-ranked Alabama at +375. Red Hot winning picks at experts.winnersandwiners.com. Save 75% on any best bet package with the promo code ACTION75. That's ACTION75 at experts.winnersandwiners.com.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Wick Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And just like that, it is hour 2 of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you as we're hanging out on a Thursday morning. And come tonight, the high school basketball season gets in full swing. And it should be a good night with high school basketball. A lot of expectations. You know, the Huntsville High is the only city team on the football side to make it to the playoffs. And the basketball season, I think the expectations for our city schools are a whole lot different than it is in that pigskin side.
No doubt, Huntsville High has one of the best programs now in the state of Alabama, a very consistent one. Hard to believe it's already going to be year 5 for Coach Christian Swears, but a lot of expectations, but they're embracing it. They've, of course, as we know, have made 4 straight Sweet 16s, 3 Elite 8s. They hope to, get to Birmingham this year. They have high, goals and aspirations, but it's a great culture at their program. I got a chance to watch a little practice yesterday. They're certainly excited. They're taking on, Scott, what in one of the preseason polls is the #1 team in 1A, Oakwood Academy, from across the city as well. Another program that probably doesn't get enough publicity, but it's another talent-laden program from our great area that is going to come over to Huntsville High tonight to start this season. This is the first night teams can take the court. Huntsville going to do so on Thursday with the football team, of course, going to Alabaster to play Thompson tomorrow. But everybody's excited for the debut of this Huntsville High Crimson Panther squad, and Christian Swears is joining us this morning to talk some Crimson Panther basketball. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning, Drew and Scott. I'm doing well. It's a beautiful morning. Weather's great. We got every sport under the sun playing at the same time. It's a good time of year.
And basketball is fun, too. But as we saw last night in college basketball, teams playing exhibition games. Basketball games, especially on night one, doesn't have to look and be a finished product.
Oh no! And if you've got dreams and aspirations of grandiose things down the line, you don't want to be a finished product on night one or even probably month one. You want to kind of gradually improve as the year goes along, and we're excited to just get started tonight. Play somebody different than our own practice jerseys.
There's no question about that, Coach. And, of course, we know for the last 3 years what Messiah Morris meant to your program, being the quarterback of your team, being a guy that's gone on to Gadsden State and playing on the college level. DeAndre Chun was a big part of the team last year as just a glue guy, someone that was going to get his hands dirty, someone that was going to dive on the floor, do the little things to help you win. Going to be interesting. This is a very talented squad you return, but you have to fit the pieces together. There's some new pieces this year, but I know that the expectations are very high, and it's about the team, not about individual numbers, and that's what's going to be the key with this group. You got to play together as a family, and I know you had a good summer. You had to play through some injuries, which probably wasn't a bad thing because you had a chance to look at a lot of guys and put them in some different situations, and that's why I love June, because you get a chance to play against other people and put some and play against some great competition and kind of travel around for a month and get a gauge of your squad.
Yeah, I mean, responding to your first statement about, a couple last year's seniors and guys like Messiah Morris have been here 3 years starting point guard. I mean, just an extension of our coaching staff on the floor, and just was a great leader in our program. And but you had other guys on that team that bought into their role, and that's what makes a team a team. And we had several seniors last year that bought into their role, and they were really good at their role. And we're going to have to replace that. You kind of have to carve out an identity with each new team, and we've been saying lately it's a new season, but it's the same standard. And so the same standard is there that's been there for the last few years, but it's a new season, it's a new team, and every team's got a different identity, and I'm looking forward to kind of seeing how that develops. I've been really pleased with our guys' work and effort in the preseason to put themselves in a position to be more physical, more athletic, and play with more of an edge to us than we did last year. I thought we were a little young a year ago, and a lot of that had to do with just not being physically mature because we were so young. We had 5 freshmen on the varsity basketball team, and that's not normal in 7A basketball. But I think last year's experience will be really good for those young guys, and I really like our senior group. Caleb Harrison returns as a junior, coming off an injury he had in the spring. He was not even probably 60% this summer, but wanted to compete, wanted to just get back to playing. And he's a different animal than he was this summer. He's really worked hard, and I'm pleased to see his progress. But yeah, I mean, this is night one. I don't think we've ever started our season. I was thinking about it this morning. I don't think this is my 17th year in high school basketball, and I don't think I've ever started out on night one that you could play. And it's just a little different, a different vibe, and it's been a lot of fun. Been a lot of text messages, and there's a buzz in the air, and it's a fun time to be a basketball fan.
You mentioned identity for this team and physicality. Is that where you hope this team identity takes shape to? I mean, do you want that physicality team?
Well, I think you got to be able to be both. I mean, you're going to run into teams that are very strong and physical and athletic. You got to be skilled enough to deal with that, but you also got to be tough enough physically to kind of push back a little bit, so to speak, and not get beat up on the glass or get beat to 50-50 balls, and be able to wall up when people are coming at you to the rim. And so those are the type things that I'm talking about. I think our team's strength is probably more on the side of skill and IQ, and when we are allowing that ball to move and use our skill set, we're pretty fun to watch on offense right now. That ball moves really fast, and not a lot of guys are wasting dribbles, and everybody's trying to get somebody an open shot, and that becomes formidable. And those are the type things we've been talking about and trying to emphasize a lot, because there are a lot of guys on this team that have the ability to go make a play or be scorers, and to be a good team, everybody's got to sacrifice something, and I think this team is up for the challenge to sacrifice for the betterment of the group.
Well, and to speak of another guy, the betterment of the group, and and also but expanding his role in his toolbox. I mean, this will be his third year starting for you. His role will be different this year because he's going to be on the ball, a little bit more because he was off the ball a lot with Messiah Morris running the point for you. But he's going to slide over. Jamari Arnold, we've known about him since he was a freshman at Columbia. Then he decided to, become a part of Crimson Panther basketball. He's played a lot of minutes for you, done a lot of great things. This is a big year for him, though, as a senior, as the leader of this team. His role kind of expanding and changing. But I know he's a guy that has a chance to be an all-state player, a guy that will be mentioned for Mr. Basketball, but someone that's a special talent, but going to be interesting to see, how he blossoms and with his new role with this younger group, Coach.
Yeah, and he's done a really good job of transitioning over. He's wired to score, but he's really just a playmaker, and he's such an unselfish player that it just made so much sense to move him over. He's a jet with the basketball. Mm-hmm. He's smart. He cares about the team more than his individual success. And so why would you not want that guy to be your one? And so we're changing up a little bit. You got to adapt a little bit to your personnel. And so the ball's going to be in his hands a lot, but he'll still play off the ball some. We've got a really good point guard in a young sophomore named Eli Stapler, who can really play. I mean, he's smart. He can really shoot it, and he's somebody I'm looking forward to watching this year. I think it'll be good to have Jamari be able to play off the ball and with the ball at the one. And so we got a lot of guys that are versatile, and we think that can be a strength to our team. A lot of guys can play several positions.
Yeah, they certainly can. And speaking of physicality and development and blossoming, two guys that I'm excited about for you, Coach, and they're still so young as far as – because this team still is, because you talked about it's unusual to have, 5 freshmen on your varsity roster. Now they're sophomores, but really excited to see the physical development and the expansion of J.D. Gossett and also Braden Rivers. I think 2 guys that many people will be hearing about in the future.
Yeah, that's a very good assessment there. J.D. is arguably our toughest player. He's just a really good basketball player who understands what it takes to impact winning, and that's what he cares about, and that's what he's about. And so if you come and watch us play this year, you're going to notice number 5 because he's going to be the guy doing all the little things at a high level. And he's gotten bigger and stronger, doesn't look the same as he did a year ago. Body's changed a lot, and I think that'll be really good for him. Braden Rivers is a guy that, athletically, we don't really have another one of on our roster. I mean, 6'6", 190, can jump out the gym, explosive. He can make threes. He can dunk. He'll block shots off the glass. He's a good passer, and he's a guy with more reps, more game reps, more practice reps since last year. I know last year was a hard year for him as a freshman because he got to play a lot, then he didn't play, and he still had to come to practice and have to grind through a tough part of being an athlete. He didn't shy away from that. He didn't pout. And I think that year last year will really help him this year, and I think he'll blossom as a player. And I expect that from him. He's a guy that can bring a lot to the table for us.
Mm-hmm. And Coach, Huntsville High head coach Christian Schweer is joining us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline this morning. Opening night for high school basketball. Coach, the area is probably the toughest area that 7A has, or the one of the toughest areas that 7A has.
Yeah, and it's going to be that way up here. This is basketball country in terms of the state and popularity of the sport, and it's always been that way here in Huntsville. It's one of the reasons it attracted myself and my family to Huntsville. And so if you're a competitor, you want to be in that environment, and we're excited to play in those environments against those good teams, and it will only make our team better. I got a lot of respect for our opponent tonight, Oakwood Academy, and their coach Melvin Allen. He's a good man who does things the right way. I like how they're running their program over there, and it says a lot about them to want to go out and schedule the 7As in the city. We're not the only one they're playing this year, but they want to play over here to open up their season, and they'll have a really good team this year, particularly in 1A. And I know he's got 9 seniors coming over here tonight, and so just a lot of respect for those guys. And I think it'll be good for both teams. I'm sure there'll be a lot of nerves early on as high school basketball is beginning. You got a big student section, a great environment, and it's just natural for kids to be a little more wired than normal starting out. And so, a lot of respect for those guys. The area is going to be really good this year. There's a lot of good players in the city. A lot of teams are always going to be competitive, and so any given night in Huntsville, man, you can go see a good basketball game.
Certainly you can. It'll be a good one tonight, 7:30, Oakwood Academy. In one preseason poll, they're the number 1A team, and then, Coach, you turn around on Monday and you play the number 1 team in 3A, the defending state champions. I know you have a great relationship, and each year it's a kind of a rite of passage to play Plainview early, but they'll be coming to Huntsville High. Not too bad a start of the season to play a couple of opponents of this caliber.
That's right. Coach Coker and I were needling each other yesterday through text message. We're good buddies. We went and played golf together this summer, and I think the whole time we were out there, 5-6 hours, I don't even know if we talked about basketball or our teams. And so I enjoy him, his friendship. He's been a good person for me to get to know over the years, and a lot of respect for his program. And they just won another state championship. And we're always going to get better when we play people like that, particularly early in the season. All these games are really just practices for the ones that matter in January and February, and that's how we view it. I do want to throw a shout out to another team from a different sport.
Right.
Our high school football team here at Huntsville High.
Yes, the team of the week. That's right.
I want to commend Coach Fleetwood and his staff for doing a great job of getting through their season and managing adversity and playing their best when their best was needed that night at Austin. And just happy for those guys. They worked really hard, and good luck to them tomorrow night as they travel to Thompson.
No doubt about it, and we're excited to see the Crimson Panthers, no question. And watching practice yesterday, Coach, I just enjoyed watching the culture, watching your your varsity and then your JV take the floor. There was really, I didn't think, much drop off. You could tell that the system is in place, that a lot of these kids understand the expectations and the standard. I thought it was very well run. I thought the JV more than held their own and played well against your varsity guys. And I know, again, you don't have all your pieces yet. Certainly Amari Jabbar playing football, he's a big part of that. We hope he plays exceptional football against Thompson. He certainly did the last couple of weeks. Made a lot of plays in that Austin game, but certainly he's going to be a big part of things. But we look forward to seeing Huntsville High tonight. And again, it's going to be a great environment, so come on out to Huntsville High to the gym. The ladies are playing at 6 o'clock. And the men will be playing at 7:30. Two programs. Jeff Smith's done a really good job with the ladies program. He's a big part of the football program as well. And then, of course, we know what Coach Swears has built over there with Huntsville High. But we're looking forward to the game, Coach. I know our own Steve Moulton, I think, will be on within FHS doing that game for you tonight as well. So we look forward to that. And good luck to the start of the season. We look forward to being out there at Huntsville High tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Guys, again, thank you for having me on and supporting high school sports in our area. We'll see you.
Thank you,
thanks.
Coach.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Big night for high school basketball. Anytime. I'm sure the hallways are a little bit ecstatic in a lot of schools today because a lot of places opening up that first night. You get those little nerves, though. You get those little jitters. It takes about 4 or 5 minutes to kind of settle down, and then once you get going, then the season's underway, and then you blink. And then the season's over.
Yeah, so, it's just like football. It's already over. It seemed like we started a couple weeks ago, and you're going to have the North Alabama High School Football Scoreboard Show presented by Woody Anderson Ford tomorrow, starting at 8:30 on the Blitz, and then you'll be on, here on 97.7 The Zone, and it's the first round. And so we'll see how many of our North Alabama teams can advance. Certainly we'll be, hoping that Huntsville High can, go over and play well over at Thompson's. It's a huge challenge, but it's one they earned, and that's certainly why they're the ESPN 97.7 The Zone Team of the Week presented by Bryant Bank. And we'll be out there later today before their walkthrough to present them with their reward from Bryant Bank.
Yeah, it's going to be a good day. We've got 2 of those to do. We've got to hit Westminster Christian Academy to celebrate their 5A volleyball championship, and then Huntsville High. So it's going to be a good day, busy day all around as well. And coming up here in just a little bit, Jake Crane will join the program as we get his thoughts on some college football. But before that, we looked at we heard from We heard from Carnell Williams about his team's challenge going into Mississippi State this weekend. But if you look at the rest of the league, Drew, Florida and Texas A&M, both teams need this win. Both teams 1-4 in conference play, Florida and Texas A&M. Billy Napier trying to build something down there at Florida. Florida coming off that tough loss to Georgia last weekend. What do we think in this one? Texas A&M, by the way, a 3.5-point favorite over the Gators Saturday.
Well, I mean, I don't really know what to think.
Yeah.
I think Florida is the better team because I'm not sure A&M is a team, if that makes any kind of sense.
No, a fractured locker room.
Yeah, I really don't know what to expect out of them, how to see them play, how they're going to play. I thought Florida, they looked terrible in the first half, but they came out in the third quarter swinging, and they got within 28-20 of the Dogs before the Dogs, steadied themselves and put the game away. So I would say Billy Napier's got a better culture right now than Dirt Neck. So, I mean, the game's is it back in College Station, right?
Yeah, and that's why the Aggies are, I think, a 3.5-point favorite because it's at home.
Go Gators.
How about this one? Hugh Freeze is taking Liberty to Arkansas.
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Hugh Freeze's name has been mentioned more this week only because of the Auburn job, not because of Liberty going to Arkansas.
And, I mean, Liberty's 7-1. I mean, no doubt about it. Our good friend Ken Burnett, I know you know him very well. His son Zach's the third team quarterback there and has had a chance to travel with the team, had a chance to, be a part of that program and very successful one under Hugh Freeze. And so they've probably got as good a group of 5 program as there is maybe in college football. So certainly they've attracted some really good talent in the transfer portal. And Hugh Freeze, right now, he's got an 8-year guaranteed contract, $5 million a year that he's agreed to at Liberty.
I was going to say, so Hugh Freeze is in a great situation. Liberty, they've got money. They are a group of 5 school, but they've got money. And if they need something, and Hugh Freeze alluded to that earlier this week, that he doesn't have to ask for anything. They ask him what he needs. I mean, they come to him and ask him what he needs. That is a great situation for a coach. He's got $5 million. That's comfortably being paid.
Well, I don't think
the expectations at Liberty are to get into the top 25.
That's about what he made, I think, at Ole Miss.
So if you are Hugh Freeze, and everybody wants to say, "Oh, that's Auburn's number one." I mean, Auburn, Auburn. Get him back into the SEC. Get him back into the SEC. Coaches have egos, and we talked about this earlier this week. Coaches have egos. They are driven to be the best and want to win that national championship and prove that they are the best. But is Hugh Freeze finally at a point where maybe he just says, I'm fine with $5 million. Everybody thinks I need to go to the SEC and want to go back, but I don't need to go back.
Well, I mean, he wants to go back, though. Let's not get it twisted. I mean, he wanted the Tennessee job a couple of years ago. Didn't happen. He's told people that he'd like the Auburn job. I firmly believe that. His daughter went to Auburn. I mean, the SEC is the biggest stage. Even making $5 million a year, which is really good money at Liberty. Okay.
No, it's good money for a group of 5.
But
yes.
Auburn could almost double that. I think we've all understand that he could end up making $9 to $10 million a year, even with all that. And in Auburn, you would have an even bigger budget and even more resources. Even though they have resources at Liberty, I'm not. It's not a shot at them at all. It's just a fact. And Liberty right now, if they expand the college football playoff, they might have a shot. But, with the way things currently stand, they don't. And he's getting good players at Liberty, good players out of the transfer portal. Hell, some of them from Auburn. But, again, he'd have a chance to get even better players in the SEC. So I think you just talked about coaches having egos. They certainly and he would like to get back to the SEC and continue to prove himself because he beat Nick Saban twice at Ole Miss.
Right.
Came within a crazy play, which was just great karma against Arkansas of getting to the SEC championship game that year. If Arkansas doesn't win it on that crazy fourth down, then Ole Miss probably goes to Atlanta. And I know that was a very bittersweet one for them. But if Lane Kiffin doesn't go brain dead and stop giving the ball to Derrick Henry, then Alabama wins in Tuscaloosa even with 4 turnovers because they never would have had the 5th because Jake Coker wouldn't have thrown the interception. Yes, I'm still bitter over that game. I watched it, okay? I mean, Ole Miss had every break go their way, kind of like another squad that beat Alabama earlier this year too that acts like they won by 30 and not 3. But you know how it goes. And they don't want none of that smoke of a rematch with Alabama. They're going to be the biggest LSU fans in America on Saturday because they don't want none of that.
You don't think Tennessee could be
Hell no. Nope.
You don't think Alabama would have trouble covering the secondary or covering the
Maybe.
Tennessee wide receivers again?
Probably still. I mean, Tennessee's a great football team this year. I'm not taking anything away from their players.
No.
Nothing. They went out and they whacked Kentucky. They may go out and whack Georgia. Wouldn't shock me. But I'm just saying beating a team twice is hard. Now, Alabama did it once with the Florida Gators, and Spurrier will take that to his grave because we know what happened because, Dubose beat him twice. But it's very difficult to do.
All right, I know we got Brandon, but we got to get a break in because Jake Crane is on the flip side. We got to get to Jake Crane. Want to spend some time with him. And who knows? Maybe he can lend us his thoughts. If Tennessee, Alabama played
we
again.
might even let Brandon ask Jake a question.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Had a report of an overturned vehicle in Limestone County, 31 near Harris Station Road. That one reported as an injury type. Westbound University at Old Monrovia, nobody hurt. Greenbrier Parkway and Relate Way had an injury involved, and they canceled EMS on Dupree Worthy near Highway 72. Snelling needs a paralegal, a part-time bookkeeper, and an appointment scheduler. Snelling, how Huntsville's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, whether you want to believe it or not, the holidays are upon us. It is time to start thinking about the important things like, hey, what's on the menu this year? It is time to pre-order your honey glazed ham or turkey from Apple Lane. Let's get honey glazed for the holidays and make the holidays even sweeter with our award-winning banana pudding.
That's right.
Let us help make this year's holiday just so much easier. Apple Lane, come see us in Decatur, Alabama on the Beltline.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Take it to the house this football season with the Alabama Manufactured Housing Association. If Alabama or Auburn returns their first received kickoff in the second half or a touchdown at a home SEC game, one lucky fan will win a $75,000 down payment towards the purchase of a manufactured home from an authorized AMHA dealer. Don't miss your chance to take it to the house this season and win a beautiful manufactured home. Register to win today at auburntigers.com/take-it-to-the-house or rolltide.com/take-it-to-the-house. Certain terms and conditions may apply. To learn more, visit alamha.org. Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. We're still a place to call for your insulation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job is too small. We can do renovations, new construction, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, brick landscape borders.
Well, when you came out to my house, you did both the insulation and masonry at the same time. You guys did rock for me, you did brick for me, and you insulated my house. That's usually done at the same time that you're building a house.
Absolutely. It really capitalizes on two services you need at the same time, and you can get one company to handle both of those.
Philip with Eagle Insulation will come out, do your installation. He'll do your masonry. They do a great job. They guarantee your work. Check out more online at insulatedwitheagle.com and schedule your free examination today. 256-755-1556.
Thanks, Wes.
What can you expect when you shop for a firearm at Bullet & Barrel? Expect great prices. We specialize in quality over quantity. Expect great service. Our professional sales staff is never pushing. We won't talk you into something that doesn't fit your needs. You have the right to make a smart, informed decision. Expect Bullet & Barrel, Alabama's only 5-star indoor shooting range, to support you after the sale. Bullet & Barrel, 3252 Lehman Ferry Road. Like or follow us on Facebook. Come see us soon.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Coming up next, it's the Tom Abraham Show with me, Tom Abraham. Now back to more Talking Ball with Scott and Drew.
There you go. Indeed, welcome back. Another segment here of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you until 9 o'clock on a fantastic Thursday morning. And a lot of good college football conversation going on out there, and Auburn needs to find themselves the right guy. You got Tennessee, Georgia this weekend. There's a lot of good stuff. College football playoff rankings, if anyone really cares about the first ones, they came out. Yeah. Somebody does.
Well, they do. And our next guest from 6:30 to 8 each and every morning on YouTube, one of the fastest growing national shows in the country. Brought to you by the Real Daily Wire. It's Crane and Company, and we enjoy our weekly visits with Jake Crane. He's been good enough to join us again for a few minutes this morning and give us his thoughts on the college football landscape. Also, we saw a no-hitter in the World Series last night, and I got to see Blaine Crane take a pie to the face. So instead of talking about a straitjacket on Jake Crane, we're talking about a pie to the face. Jake, how are you this morning?
Guys, I'm doing great. Yeah, as an older brother, there's a few moments in your life where, you really are able to soak it in and enjoy it and, take perspective and take stock. And being able to hit my brother in the face with a chocolate pudding pie with whipped cream all over it is definitely making the highlight reel. Right before I die, that'll be one of the thoughts that flashes in my head.
What did he do to deserve the pie?
So we have this fantasy league. Obviously, it's us. Ben Shapiro's in it. Matt Walsh, all them, and
he
lost. Make side bets.
Yeah.
Yeah. The loser of the whole thing has to go sit courtside at a WNBA game. But we do side bets. We do side bets. Like I had to do the one chip challenge last week, which is absolutely don't do it. How about that? Let's just put it.
I watched that. Your tongue was
one chip
green.
challenge. What was the
my
what
goodness,
the
that was
Scoville?
unreal.
Is that what they call it? The Scoville level of the chip or whatever?
Yeah, let's just put it this way. They got doctors and scientists to get together to see how hot they could make one. It's one chip, and it is absolutely.
Oh.
It opened my face up like I was getting, jaw surgery. I mean, it was absolutely.
His tongue,
it was
unbelievable.
I didn't swallow it, thank goodness. But so Blaine and Cone played each other this week in fantasy, and their side bet is the loser has to take 5 paintballs in the back from 15 feet. So that's going to be fun.
Ooh.
Yeah,
single shirt, or can they layer the clothing, or is it just a single shirt?
No, it's single shirt. Look, if we're going to do this, we're going to go all the way.
Okay.
If I had to do the one chip challenge, like they tried to do, if I lose, I'll wear a Bama shirt. No, I go through physical pain. Y'all are going through physical pain. I don't want the loser to have to build a gingerbread house or something. Like you need to feel it.
Well, I know. Talking about physical pain, you were calling for the dismissal of Brian Harsin early in this season. It finally happens this week. John Cohen, the new athletic director. Your thoughts on the steps being taken at Auburn and where you see this going?
Yeah, it was a matter of time. I mean, everybody knew it was coming. It was kind of when, not if. I like the hire of John Cohen. He's not a yes man, and that's been a change for kind of Auburn and obviously everybody knowing the background there. I think he's really going to be the one that picks it, and obviously you got to get people to sign off on it, but I don't think he'd have taken the job if he's not going to have the opportunity to choose his first football coach, which we all know is the most important hire he's going to make. Because Bruce Pearl and Butch Thompson aren't going anywhere except to Omaha in the Final Four. So this is a huge one for John Cohen. I do like the hire. Now you look out there, it's a firing that we see in the middle of the season, which we're seeing that more and more now. You saw that last year with USC and LSU, and it's worked out for them. I think the early signing period timeline is one of the reasons that we're seeing that. So it was a move that had to be made. Look, I have no ill will toward Brian Harsin. I mean, I don't feel bad for him either. You got paid $15 million for a year and a half worth of work. You could put me in the middle of Auburn and have the citizens throw vegetables at me for $15 million if that's what it takes. But I think it was the right move. Brian Harsin just didn't go get it. He thought it was going to be handed to him like it was handed to him at Boise, like Gus Malzahn handed it to him at Arkansas State. And when you come into the jungle that is the SEC, you can't be a house cat. You got to be able to go out and kill your food. And he couldn't do it on the recruiting trail. You didn't go get an offensive lineman from the portal. You whiffed on more quarterbacks than a bad defensive end. So, look, you don't make you blow leads last year, including one to Alabama that we know you should have won the game.
Right.
Mississippi State was an absolute joke. And then this year, you can't make adjustments or score any points in the second half. At some point, you're the problem.
Mm-hmm. That's a good
Well,
point.
does John Cohen then go out there and he's going to be aggressive to get this head coach? Does he put all of his chips in a guy like a Lane Kiffin that has been around, that is in the league, that has had all that experience, or does he put his chips in on somebody else?
Well, I think Lane Kiffin's legitimately in the mix. Now, look, we all know Jimmy Sexton's his agent.
Yes.
This is the game that Jimmy plays. Just like you're going to hear Sonny Dykes at TCU. We saw Mel Tucker get paid after having one really good year last year. They were afraid they were going to lose him or something was going to happen, so they threw the bag at him. Not looking like the greatest decision in the world right now. And you're going to see the same thing probably at TCU with Sonny Dykes going in there year one. You're ranked 8th in the college football playoff. Everybody's talking about you. You got a chance to win the Big 12 in year one. TCU, which is a private school that has money, will throw the bag at Sonny Dykes. I think right now, my top candidate is Hugh Freeze. He checks all the boxes. He does have baggage, but you need a guy that he doesn't be born in the South. That's a common misconception. But you need to have coached in the SEC. You need to understand the way this jungle works. You need to understand where you can go and get kids and where you can go and you're wasting your time. You need to understand how to put assistants around you that can win in this league. Hugh's done it. He beat Bama twice. That's the reason they got turned in, if you really want to know it. Yeah, he made mistakes. I get it. But, some stuff on the periphery on Twitter people don't like, whatever. People don't like stuff on Twitter with Lane Kiffin. People don't like stuff on Twitter with Deion Sanders. Now, what Hugh did was egregious. But again, I think he's paid the price for that. He's been on Broadway. Now he's doing local theater, and he wants to get back on Broadway, which means he's hungry. You need somebody that's hungry. You need somebody that's innovative. He is that on offense. His offense keeps evolving. He wins everywhere he goes, and he has experience in the league, and you could get him for a good price. The buyout's only $2.5 million, still at Liberty with that new contract.
That's right.
Wow.
His daughter attended Auburn too, so he knows about the school. He understands the fabric of it. He's my top guy too. But it's a big weekend in the SEC though, Jake. I know you had a great take on Tennessee and Georgia. This is the game everybody's been waiting on. I just consider it 1 versus 2. The winner of this game, I think, has got a great shot at the playoff no matter what happens in Atlanta. But talk about your thoughts on the matchup in Athens.
Yeah, whoever wins this one, if they run the table in the regular season, you're pretty much in. You're pretty much in. Some stuff's going to happen on the outside too. We'll see if TCU can go undefeated. Clemson, tough one at Notre Dame. Notre Dame plays up and down to their competition. But if they go through it, they'll probably see North Carolina in the championship game. I don't see them losing that, even though Drake May is 100% witch. When I look at this game with Georgia and Tennessee, everybody's talking about Tennessee's offense versus Georgia's defense. I think the difference in this game is going to be Georgia's run game versus Tennessee's defense. Because if Georgia's able to run the ball, they can limit possessions. That's how you beat Tennessee. You limit their possessions. They're good enough, and they're comfortable enough in that offense, and they've got weapons back. We've seen Hyatt, Cedric Tillman's back now, Keaton, Brew McCoy, guys like that. We know they've been solid running the ball. Heck, they run the ball, guys, more than Georgia does. But if Georgia's able to run the ball, they can control the clock, they can keep that offense on the field, and they can make Tennessee play at their tempo instead of having to play at Tennessee's tempo like Alabama did last week. I think that's going to be the difference in the game.
Wow. And you like Georgia?
I like Georgia 38-31.
So he is, I'm along the same lines, that maybe even closer, maybe 38-35. But, yeah, I think Tennessee's legit. There's no doubt about it. Going to be interesting. And then a lot of people thinking LSU's got a shot at Bama. I'm thinking Alabama's going to cover and play one of their better games. I've got it 38-20, but I'm always interested. You study a lot of the betting lines, and you do some digging. What is your feel for the matchup in Red Stick?
Well, obviously playing a night game at Death Valley is worth 3 to 7 points. I don't care who you're playing. I laid out 3 things on the show this morning that I think LSU has to do to win. Number one, they cannot get off to a bad start like they did against Ole Miss, like they did against Auburn, like they did against Florida State, like they did against Tennessee, because Alabama's offense, if they get ahead of you, is good enough to snowball that thing. That they're that talented. The receiving corps is coming along, and we all know how good Bryce Young is. If they get down 14-0 or 17-0, this game may look a lot more like the Tennessee LSU game than it did the LSU Ole Miss game, the LSU Auburn game, things like that. You got to get off to a good start. 2, you got to play clean, especially on special teams. You have struggled on special teams all year. It's been a disaster. It seems like a different phase every week is blowing it all the way from game 1 to here. You cannot make those mistakes. And then the third thing, and something that we've talked about a lot on the show, and I think it's why you've seen LSU's offense start to be way more effective, is Jaden Daniels is attacking the deep third of the field. Remember, about 4 or 5 weeks in, he had 10 touchdowns, no interceptions, something like that, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. And Brian Kelly was like, yeah, that's great, but we're not getting a return on our investment in that. He's like, I'd rather you throw a couple interceptions and challenge people deep vertically because it opens everything else up. That's why it looks like the run game is so much better right now, because safeties aren't able to creep in the box. The intermediate passing game, especially on third downs, being effective because DBs are now afraid to get beat deep. If Jaden Daniels can affect the deep third, if LSU can play clean on special teams, and then they can get off to just a good start, it doesn't have to be an amazing start, but a good start, I do think with this Alabama team that has shown they will self-destruct, whether it's through penalties, whether it's through plays on special teams, like snapping it off the up back at Arkansas, doing what they did against Tennessee, trying to pick up the punt last week and ended up turning it over, then LSU, I think, can win. But they're going to have to really thread the needle, and I think they're going to need some help from Alabama.
Mm-hmm. One of the stories that surfaced yesterday is not really college football related. It's the fact that Gonzaga is flirting with the Big 12, not the Pac-12 right now.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? You would think with the Pac-12 losing USC and UCLA, 2 really good basketball programs, that the Pac-12 would be jumping all over Gonzaga. And I'm Gonzaga's harshest critic. It's hard for me to take you serious when your parents still work at the concession stand and you have volleyball lines on your court. It's just hard. It's hard. That's hard for me to, again, and that's why every year, outside of the year with Jalen Suggs, where I had Baylor winning the Natty, they haven't been able to do much in the later rounds of the tournament. They've been able to get past the first 2 rounds, but they always go in as a 1 seed and fall flat in their face. Arkansas just bullied them last year. They took them out back, and they bullied them for 2 halves. And that's how Gonzaga loses. That's what Baylor did to them. So I want to give kudos to Gonzaga for trying to go dance with the big boys consistently. And Notre Dame football, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you now. Like you're the only one. You're the only one. So at the end of the day, I think it's good for college basketball. I think it's good for Gonzaga, and hats off to Mark Few.
Yeah, I do. I think they need to make that next step. I think they've outgrown the West Coast Conference, no doubt about it. I mean, you would think they would want to be challenged more. They do play.
Drew, you know what it's like? It's
What?
like that kid we all grew up with that was twice the size as everybody in 5th grade and would dominate at sports. Like, at some point, like, play against people your own size.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and they try to do that in the out of conference, but I agree with you.
Like, you're 6'3" in the 5th grade.
Yeah.
Like, you're bigger than my dad.
Totally agree. Jake Crane, the Crane and Company from the Real Daily Wire, is with us, giving us his thoughts. And real quick, what about that no-hitter, man? It was kind of under the radar last night. I was watching it, but the Astros right back in this thing because it looked like it's taken a couple of turns. First, Verlander blows the lead, or Houston would be in big control. Philly comes back, and now Houston answers them. This is looking like it may go 6 or 7.
Yeah, I got the Astros in 6, had them from the beginning. That was a huge win. It was a must-win, in my opinion, for them last night. And I want to take my hat off to Javier, starting pitcher, obviously for the Astros. They had their backs against the wall last night now, and this dude doesn't have a ton of experience pitching in humongous games like this. And he went up against Aaron Nola, who's really nice. And Aaron Nola had shut out the Astros for the first 5 innings. The only problem was Javier wasn't giving up a hit. He attacked every hitter. He attacked them early. He mixed speeds well. Then the guys in the back end went and did their job. It was an unbelievable performance by Houston. But Javier and Don Larson, the only 2 guys in the World Series to leave a game past the 6th inning without giving up a hit. Hats off to that guy. They needed it. I think this was the swing game in the series, and I think the Astros are going to win it. And what's crazy, the Astros won it in 2017. We all know with the cheating and stuff like that. But the other 2 World Series appearances, 3 in the last 6, they lost to the Braves and the Nationals, both from the NL East. They really want to get that monkey off their back with the Phillies.
Wow, didn't even realize that.
Yeah, that's a good stuff. Good tidbit there from Jake Crane. Well, Jake, we appreciate it, man. Thank you for the time and the thoughts and the great takes. Let everybody know about, of course, Crane and Company. You guys are growing every day, and what you guys have coming up.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I love coming on here. You guys do a heck of a job. Yeah, you just go to YouTube on your computer machine. You type in CRAIN and Company. We have Jeff Foxworthy coming on tomorrow. He's our guest picker. We're starting a Friday guest picker. It's a great interview, so you definitely want to come check it out. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and obviously at the Real Daily Wire. Go check out Daily Wire Plus. It's us, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro. Everybody's over there. It's really great stuff.
It really is, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, guys.
You got to see that chip, man. His tongue turned green. I'm sorry. I was like, what in the hell is that? How hot is it? I couldn't believe it.
So it's the one. Okay, I tell you what. Let's get a break in. When we come back, I'm going to look at the one chip Scoville rating. And I want to see just how hot the one chip actually is.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We seem to be winding down nicely now. Last reported accident was Jordan and McDowell. That one came in as a no injury. Sounds like everything else from earlier has now been cleared out of the way. You be careful as you make that trip on in this morning. We're going to have a few folks in last-minute dash mode. Popeye's $6 Big Box is back with 2 pieces of that crispy, hand-battered Louisiana seasoned chicken, 2 sides, and a buttermilk biscuit. Popeye's University and Jordan, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
So yeah, I used the savings from switching to Progressive 50 years ago to finally buy my dream car. It's a self-driving flying car, but we just say self-flying now. You know, because it's the future, and cars fly in the future.
So switch to Progressive and save big because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Attorney Tommy Sinyard on behalf of Sinyard Law, and again proud to be a sponsor of All Things Football here on ESPN Radio. My son Bart and I started our own law firm July 1 and are very proud and excited to be bringing you our 50 years of collective national award-winning injury trial law experience. Check us out on the web, sinyardlaw.com.
Sinyard Law, nationally recognized, locally respected.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Take it to the house this football season with the Alabama Manufactured Housing Association. If Alabama or Auburn returns their first received kickoff in the second half or a touchdown at a home SEC game, one lucky fan will win a $75,000 down payment towards the purchase of a manufactured home from an authorized AMHA dealer. Don't miss your chance to take it to the house this season and win a beautiful manufactured home. Register to win today at auburntigers.com/takeittothehouse or rolltide.com/takeittothehouse. Certain terms and conditions may apply. To learn more, visit alamha.org.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Men, are you having performance issues in the bedroom? Is erectile dysfunction affecting your confidence and self-esteem? Is your relationship being impacted? If ED is a problem in your life, maybe it's time to make the last time you had bad sex the last time you'll have bad sex. At the Huntsville Men's Clinic, we've successfully treated many men in the area for ED and given them back their confidence, their positivity, and in many cases, helped their relationships. Our expertise is second to none, and our practice is staffed by quality medical professionals. Beyond this, the treatments we use have proven success rates as high as 90%. And unlike online pharmacies that just sell pills, or wave clinics that only offer one treatment option, we have a variety of treatment protocols, including acoustic wave therapy. We found that sometimes a combination of therapies works best, and a one-size-fits-all approach can't get you there. So make the call. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. Call 256-368-0333 or go to HuntsvilleMen'sClinic.com.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Several things to get through here today in the headlines. A lot of it is NCAA related as well. But we were talking about the one chip challenge.
Yep.
And it's $9, by the way, for one chip.
That's how much you have to pay.
That's how much you have to pay. You order it, you buy it, and it's shipped to you. It's just one chip. Okay? This is what it is. It's made with both the Carolina Reaper pepper and the Scorpion pepper, which both register at over 2 million Scoville heat units.
Yeah.
Over 2 million for each of them. Additionally, the chip will turn your tongue blue.
Okay, it was blue. Well,
to prove that you did the challenge.
Right. Well, that's the color. I was thinking it was greenish, but I guess it was blue. There's no doubt that Jake Crane did that. And I know we have someone that's been waiting on hold. Brandon, would you eat that chip?
I said if somebody paid me a lot of money, I definitely would not think twice about eating that chip.
You wouldn't mind it turning your tongue blue?
Hey, there's enough money involved. It's kind of like Brian Harsin. I mean, I guess I could take a beat for a year and a half. Somebody paid me $15 million too.
$9 for a chip, man. Wow. Just one. It is pretty good size. I mean, I watched Jake Crane eat it, man, but wow. Turning your tongue blue. And it did, absolutely.
So I'm seeing a story here that says that there in Athens, Alabama, in Limestone County, that the Buc-ee's will open the week of Thanksgiving there.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's getting there. I mean, it's almost ready to open.
Imagine 99-cent gas right there around Black Friday. What could possibly go wrong?
That will be insanity.
Black Friday at the Buc-ee's, at a brand new Buc-ee's. I talked to the manager over here, and I asked him, I said, how bad is it going to be? And he said they're pulling managers and people in from all over the place and him telling them to be ready to be there for the entire week into the next week until it calms down. They said they figure that with it being open 24 hours from after Thanksgiving till Sunday, they said they expect their customer count to be at peak numbers the entire weekend. So,
wow.
Yeah, it actually opens on the 21st.
So it's the 21st of. Hey, that's the day. That's the day I'm official, man. Hopefully these meds keep working.
Yeah, it opens up on the 21st.
There it is.
That's what I'm saying. It'll open up, and then you'll have it for everybody to go to on Black Friday. You'll have it that weekend. It'll be absolutely unbelievable. And I'm hoping they hire y'all to do a remote.
Woof.
Be fantastic. And I was hoping y'all were going to ask Jay Crane.
What did you want us to ask?
I wanted to ask him, how important is it to him that they hire somebody Auburn related? A lot of people I talk to at Auburn, they want an Auburn man. So I think that's where they're messing up. Hire the best available.
I think he's wanting to hire Hugh Freeze. I don't think it's really important for Jake. I don't want to totally speak for him, but I don't think that's as super important for him.
Well, gentlemen, roll tide. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Brandon.
All right, that's going to do it for today. We are done. Make sure you join us tomorrow. Friday edition of Talking Ball. I'm going to wrap up the week tomorrow.
Thank you for joining us, Bama Bino, as far as listening. We appreciate it.
We'll get back to everybody tomorrow. Same time, 7 o'clock, right here, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Download that app today.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.